Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here with another wonderful installment of Disney Debates. Tonight's roster boasts the following questions. Who is the best Disney Duck character outside of Donald? Best Disney villain reveal? And of course, single most important moment in Walt Disney animation history. Now, without further delay, let's greet our competitors for this evening. In this corner, it's the man, the myth, the Polynesian legend himself with a capital T. Welcome, Tiki!
Woo-hoo!
In this corner, he's lean, he's mean, he's a smack-talking machine. Break out the Band-Aids because it's SandyClaws!
That doesn't describe me. Anyways.
And in this corner, get your motor running because he's looking for adventure and born to be Jacob Wile.
I like that.
Yep, that's all I was born to be.
So, boys, how we feeling?
Yeah,
Feeling good.
I'm okay.
I'm doing all right.
Welcome back, Sandy. It's only been like a month since we last talked to you.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I'm excited for this. I might actually have some decent arguments this time.
As do I.
Winning.
Look at him go.
Sandy's coming back from sabbatical, folks. He's been resting up and getting ready for the fight here. You know, it's like that. It's like at the end of the beginning of Rocky 2. You know, he's on the hiatus before he's doing a few commercials and he's coming back for the title. All right. So, folks, a little refresher for those who may not be aware. We're just going to jump right into it here. So, let's see. Refresher. 3 rounds, 3 questions. If we get into a tie, or one person gets all 3 points, then we go to the break glass in case of emergency question, which will essentially be we weed out the weakest link. You know, the weakest argument gets eliminated. Then we move on to the ominous speed round.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Of course, as always, R2 here, my little buddy, is the bell. When he goes off, that's all she wrote. We're done. I've heard enough. I will cast the ruling, if you will. And, of course, opening Battle Royale, it's kind of the usual way we've narrowed it down lately. Yes, we'll go around, establish our picks. We will then go around the bend again to... once we've established the order, everyone will make their opening statements, and then finally we'll fight out Battle Royale, and there's no cushion of a closing statement, so when you hear that bell, it's all over. Does everyone understand the rules as I have explained them here to each of you today?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I was using the restroom. Can you repeat that again, Dragon?
Okay, here's a little refresher. So we have three rounds, which means 3
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're going to the randomizer here, folks, figuring out what the order of this evening is.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, once this is decided upon, this is going to be the order for all 3 of the questions, just so there's no confusion. So let's do it. Oh boy.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, dang it.
All right, right in the middle. Right in the middle. I can take that.
David's first up, then Tiki, and then lastly the Sandman. Okay.
All right.
I think this is the first time I've ever gone first.
We'll see how you fare.
No, it's a rarity. I'll say that much. I don't know if it's the first time, but it's a rarity.
It seems like Sandy always gets stuck in the position.
Yeah, you're right. That is kind of a regular thing. What if the randomizer has it out for Sandy?
I mean, then there was that one time when we had to use the randomizer to vote one of ourselves off, and Tiki.
Oh, I love that. I geeked out about that so much. I didn't care that I was the one that ended up getting victimized by it. I didn't care one bit. That was just good TV.
Right. Okay. All right. So you guys ready? We ready to fire into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Question numero uno. I'm sorry, Sandy, you were saying?
Oh no, I was just saying yeah.
All right, yeah, okay. Question number 1. In honor of the new DuckTales series, outside of Donald Duck, who is the best Disney Duck character?
Okay, and speaking of DuckTales, my character is the headliner of the series, Scrooge McDuck.
My character is the bridge between both of the choices, Launchpad McQuack.
My choice is Darkwing Duck / Drake Mallard, the same person. So
they're the same person.
Yes, they are.
Well, you never see them together at the same time. Can you really say that for certain?
Yes.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Darn paparazzos. Okay. All right, Jacob. Opening statement. What do you got to say about the richest duck in the world, Scrooge McDuck?
Scrooge McDuck. I mean, though he got his start in the comics, are you guys gonna use a stopwatch?
No. This isn't the speed round. There's no time on it.
Just make it good. Just make it count.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Though he did get his start in the comics, there are a lot of people nowadays, myself included, that got introduced to Scrooge McDuck through the legendary 1987 series DuckTales, which introduced him to a wider range of audiences and proved to be Disney's first successful foray into syndicated television. The series was noted for its characters, in which Scrooge was, of course, the headliner of the series. He was noted for being very thrifty, but being the richest duck in the world, having this brash Scottish personality, but also kind, caring, and loving, but also bold, daring, and adventurous. He has an incredible history and a legacy in the real world comic world and animation world, one that continues to be felt to this day as well, ever since his first appearance.
Okay.
All right, so Launchpad McQuack. Sure, he doesn't have the rich history of the comic books, and sure, he's not a ripoff of Batman, but what Launchpad McQuack is he's an original creation of the 80s. Yes, I went there, Sandy. I went there. Launchpad McQuack is an original creation of the 80s who is just an incredibly iconic character. He's lovable. He's not the most complex character, but I feel like that works to his advantage because he's very malleable. He's very much you can stick him in all sorts of situations and he's going to be incredibly likable. You know what you're going to get out of him. You know you're going to get like a very trusting, very loyal ally, but also someone who's going to be a doofus, someone who's going to be comic foil, someone who's going to be like an elevation to the already established team. And I don't want to hinge my argument too much on this fact, but as I said, Launchpad McQuack is the bridge between Scrooge McDuck and Darkwing Duck. And I feel like that's very important to establish because now that we're getting into the new Disney XD potential Disney Afternoon universe, if you will, Launchpad McQuack going into Darkwing Duck was a very pivotal stepping stone in animation to what we have today, where there's all kinds of crazy crossovers. And in a way, it was almost even a stepping stone to a cinematic universe before cinematic universes existed. So Launch McQuack is not only just an incredibly engaging and likable character, but he's a pivotal stepping stone in pop culture storytelling. Boom. There you go.
All right, Sandy.
Well, there are a few different things that set Darkwing aside from Donald, Launchpad, or Scrooge, or any other Disney duck, really. He's a father. Now, what other Disney duck is a crime fighter who's also a single dad? That really says something, doesn't it? He's not complex, but at the same time, he has enough going for him to keep him, dare I say, I'll emphasize more on all this later. That's my opening statement.
Okay, boys. Let's battle it out.
All right. Darkwing Duck has the ego the size of Jupiter, so that makes it compels his stories, but it also puts him and people he loves into all kinds of very swaggy situations. Endangers as many people as he says, including his own adopted daughter and his best friend.
And Scrooge is a greedy dirtbag.
Actually,
you know who we can
Sandy,
agree? You know who we can agree is not a terrible person? Launchpad McQuack.
But he's a dork. He can't do anything right.
Yeah, he's a dorky captain, sure, but he's lovable and he has your back and he's loyal to the end and he's not a jerk by any way, shape, or form.
But there are so many characters that are just lovable doofuses. That's not like it's nothing new. It's nothing special.
And basically, and Tiki, you once admitted yourself that all he was that he was the funny crashing guy.
Which he actually.
you yourself admitted that. That's pretty much all he had going for him.
Okay. Calling Launchpad McQuack the funny crashing guy is like Bette Midler calling Salvador Dali the melting clock guy. I was a younger man back then, Jacob. I didn't understand the nuance that is Launchpad McQuack. All right.
A couple weeks. That's pretty much. He's not very a compelling character to begin with. He's just there like whenever they need a ride and a getaway person. Until we see more of this new series, he really doesn't contribute much whenever he's there. Like, only a few episodes really focused on him, and even then, there wasn't that much.
And to add on to what Jacob's just saying, he's only there when they need him or when the story needs a joke.
Yeah, but you see, I feel like Launchpad McQuack, he started out, I mean, obviously, he's a really, like, say what you will about him being simple. Like I said, sometimes simple is better because there's all kinds of nuances to these other characters that make them unlikable to a certain extent. But with Launchpad, he's just an easygoing guy. And
Unlikable, let me remind you, unlikable is also relatable. Because everyone is unlikable at some point.
The case in point, Scrooge has always been seen as this greedy, thrifty, as you called him, dirtbag. But he always made his money by being fair, being as he said himself, being smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies, and making it square. I mean, he never cheated people never cheated people. He was always kind, and he was more abrasive than he was a dirtbag.
Okay. Let me just clarify something here. He'd rather swim in his gold coins than donate them to an orphanage.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing I have about Scrooge is that, like, I feel like Scrooge is a very mixed bag of a character, and certainly David Tennant's portrayal of Scrooge is going to make it a little more complex, but I feel like with this argument, we're mostly talking about the Disney afternoon portrayals of these characters. I feel like that's only fair considering we haven't seen what they're going to do with Darkwing Duck in DuckTales yet. So just going on that, I feel like Scrooge McDuck, like, yeah, sometimes he can be loving to the nephews, and other times he can just be a greedy asshole who literally, like, will just sacrifice a whole nation of people so that he can get the gold and he can get the riches. We've seen that time and time again with the show.
He actually never really did that. I mean, he's never really sacrificed a whole bunch of people. In fact, he's actually freed people to get them, freed them to get what he wants.
But he's always intruding, though. He's always, like, his adventures are always kind of just screwing over people.
He only screws over people that deserve it. He never screws over innocent people. He's aggressive character, and he always loves his family despite everything. Like, in the end, he'll always sacrifice anything for his family. He wants to, like, at long last, I have a family, and to him, that's more important than any gold.
All right, well, you guys, I was trying to make a point about...
Let's face it. Let's talk about his adventurous side. His adventurous side can put many others to shame. Like, he has adventures that would make Indiana Jones green with envy. He's like, oh, you did that? Oh, I just did all that last Tuesday. He's just got his David Tennant himself. He's basically Indiana Jones with the.
But but without Launchpad McQuack, he wouldn't have been able to go on any of those adventures, though, because Launchpad McQuack was the pilot that flew him to all those adventures.
That doesn't make him a better character.
But it does make him a necessity. It does make him, and like I said,
No, it makes him an accessory.
It does, and that doesn't make people want to see him. That just makes him so he has to be there.
He's also an accessory of Darkwing Duck.
All right, I give up.
By your logic, Darkwing Duck.
You guys fight it out. I'm done.
Is that official? Are you officially throwing in the towel?
Yes, I'm KO'd.
Oh, snap. You're usually the one that's like, oh, I'm going to win this. Screw you guys, I'm going to win this.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple days. I'm KO'd. Guys, go, fight it out.
Hey, Jacob,
I know there's no way I can win this at this point.
Take
All right, let me say
any more
something
words of
about-
Wilson Fisk? Take your shots. Come on.
Let me say something about Darkwing here. Darkwing Duck, he's not like the others. He's different. He's special. I'm not saying Donald isn't special because we all know he is, but Darkwing is also a father, like I said. A single father who has to balance his crime-fighting life with his personal life, raising his daughter. I feel that is the perfect recipe for an animated fantasy yet relatable cartoon, which is something you're not going to get with Scrooge or Donald or Launchpad, and it's something we don't see very often. Like what cartoon characters are single crime-fighting fathers trying to raise their daughter? You know, sure, Drake Mallard struggles with his, or Darkwing Duck struggles with his ego, but in the end, he's always still the one trying to do the right thing on two different and completely separate levels. It's heartwarming, and it's something you don't see every day.
In a way that kind of relates to Scrooge. I mean, he's taking care of his nephews and his family, but also taking care of like his business and his adventuring as well.
But Drake Mallard is also an everyman. You know, he lives in a normal house. He's got somewhat of a normal life. Scrooge, he lives in this mansion with
But here's the thing.
a pool made of money.
But
It's
here's
not
the
very relatable.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that is relatable, though. He grew up very poor in Scotland, worked his way up to the top. Like he made his first ever dime was worthless in his hometown, it made him work to make his money on his own. Like
Yeah, but this is the
that's the thing
adventures
that
of
doesn't relate.
Scrooge. This is
That's
the
the thing.
adventures of Scrooge McDuck after that. It's not during all that. If it was during all that, that'd be a different thing. That'd be his
I mean,
character
it's
then.
all
This is his character now.
It's all revealed in his growing up. Like it's because he grew up.
Okay, listen,
happened?
guys. Here's what I need to hear. Why is one better than the other? Why is relatability better than? Why is I need here? Why is relatability being the everyman better than kind of the adventurer?
The larger than life sort of heroics of it all.
Yeah, so I need like why one lifestyle is better than the other. I'm just hearing it brought up, and not really hearing the why.
Because I feel like I personally, I'm sure I definitely speak for a lot of other people out there. They like relatable characters. You know, they like everyman type characters where they can come back each week and see, oh, how is this character going to deal with this situation? What are they going to do with that, and how do they balance the two out? With larger than life adventure, it's kind of like, oh well, I'm not sure what to do with this other than just sit here and watch it and see what this character ends up doing in the end. Or it's nothing. You don't really walk away with any kind of meaning. I guess it would be I think the best way of putting it. It's just watching him, jump around and swim in his money and do whatever else he does.
You're really kind of simplifying what Scrooge does. What Scrooge does, it takes people in a way and puts them on an adventure. Like he shows and he teaches the nephews important lessons about taking care of their money and having fun with their adventures and everything. It makes it better in a way because it's more exciting. It's like instead of just beating up a bunch of bad guys with powers, it's actually going on adventures, experiencing these different vistas and different scenarios that are vastly different every single time you see them. And it was one of the first few shows to actually pioneer a series long several episode long arcs in a cartoon. It's carried on with.
Okay, I've heard enough. Oh boy, I gotta tell you, this one I'm very impressed by this. You guys,
Well, I mean,
until Tiki bailed, until he bowed out of it, I thought. But seriously,
were you really impressed by what I was doing before I bowed out of it, Dragon? Be honest
Yes,
with you.
I was.
Really?
I was. I mean, again, by the time you bailed out, again, I noticed you're running low on steam. But again, I think you could have pulled. I think you could have helped yourself there. Again, you weren't out, but you were down, but you weren't out.
All right. Well,
Yeah, let's break it down. Yeah, let's go again. Go in the order here. So let's see. Starting with Jacob. All right. So again, of course, let's also acknowledge we have three really good duck characters here. By the way, that's a Donald. We got really strong duck characters.
Mm-hmm.
A patent of Disney. Good duck characters. Okay. Yes. So I feel I'm just trying to go with the positive. So again, I think Jacob really knew his character very well. I think honestly he knew his character best out of the three. I think that's kind of the. So in terms of kind of preparedness, I really want to give props to Jacob there. I think he highlighted a lot of the great aspects of Scrooge, kind of highlighted kind of the subtleties of him. There's not just what he is on the surface. There are levels there, and the fact that he also has his. He brought up very good points in to counter. To counter comparison with back when it was just between Scrooge and Darkwing, like having the daughter versus having the nephews. Then that argument kind of turned to kind of the questions about the lifestyle and which one is superior than the other, and that's when we get to a point where, well, again, I think Jacob had the kind of the most figured out kind of argument of all of them. I do feel the weaknesses of his argument were when he kind of referred back to the series a little too much and kind of like what. I feel the series was referred to a little much more than the character.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's really very strong foundation. Now let's see. We go into Tiki. I mean, briefly, Tiki is to give him some feedback. Just to highlight, I think Tiki started off very strong. I mean, he started off strong, and again, I love how he counteracted. I think had he continued, he would have had this thing where. I wasn't hearing a lot of negativity about Launchpad for the longest time until like a few chinks were brought up towards the end about there's nothing special about Launchpad, and what led from that. Sorry, what was kind of brought up right after that was brought up was the fact he's an accessory. That was the darning line, right?
That's honestly, yeah. That's where I was like, shit.
That's where you see Tiki crumble like a pile of bricks. Right there. So
right.
The minute that accessory thing is like, if you just want to see the moment of terror, like kind of strike Tiki, it's that accessory moment. Because I really wrote my notes, accessory times 2. That's like kind of the gravity of that one right there.
Because you see, I was trying to go into like, well, Darkwing Duck, he's a little bit more complex, but honestly, I don't remember much about him from Darkwing Duck, so that kind of shows, that I didn't have much weight to stand on.
But again, a very solid Launchpad was very solid, but basically, I think you had like a make or break moment. You could have continued if you could find a way back from that. But you're right, it was kind of
I honestly don't think I could have found a way back.
It was a critical hit, so I got to give you that. It was a critical hit, so I understand why it bowed out, but saying I don't condone it. So okay, going to Sandy. So Sandy really impressed me there in this fight. Really did.
Well,
he started off. I think he started off the strongest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He had a really good opening in the argument. Like the whole he's a father. He's a crime fighter. Again, it kind of I didn't hear any of the Batman brought up aside from Tiki's quick little dig at Darkman saying he's a Batman ripoff. I would have liked to hear more kind of defending that, but at the same time, there were some critical things brought up about Darkwing. I would have liked to focus on a little bit more, like the whole egotistical and dangerous to his loved ones, like those, like how is he not dangerous to his loved ones? Like I didn't really hear he's really good at his job as a response to that. But I think Sandy.
Yeah, it honestly hurt me to say some of those things.
But I will say this, though. I think there was another thing. There are two things. So I think Sandy was a little repetitious towards the end there because I think he was just kind of trying to find his footing. But he did surprise me yet again towards the end where he brought the whole relatable everyman quality. So I think Sandy's on shaky ground. But again, there's a lot of really solid stuff in his argument, though, that might carry him through. So that's where we're at between Jacob and Sandy. And it's going to take a moment here to definitely assess this because I think it's a tough one. I'm
Do I get a say in this?
You know what, T? Because you bad, I'm going to allow it. Yeah, give me some feedback, man. Who are you siding for? Let's get a second opinion here. T, what do you think? This is a really good fight here.
All right. Well, I personally agree with you that like Jacob started really strong with like his facts and like honestly, I was kind of like, this is probably the one that I prepared the least for out of the three of them. So, the fact that he was able to counteract me at every turn, that was great. But I do think that Sandy basically laid out an argument for Darkwing Duck that was so strong in the beginning that it honestly made me not want to go against it. It was so strong, like the whole single father thing, and he kept on hitting the point. And I think both of you could have been a little less repetitious, but I think I heard more variety from Sandy. So like if I'm weighing in, I'd go slightly towards Sandy.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and Tiki, it's not just because you weighed in there, but I was kind of leaning towards, and I think you kind of helped confirm this. Sandy, you had I think you had like a kind of an empty sandwich going on here. You had a really good bread, just lackluster meat. But again, very good bread. Well, the cookies of your Oreo were delicious, but the cream was weak sauce, man. And with that said, with Jacobs, I feel Jacobs was just we just kind of established, okay, here's what Scrooge McDuck character is, and then we didn't really have like a lot of kind of adaptability to the stuff that Sandy was laying out, and it felt a little just kind of like, we understand who Scrooge McDuck is. What are we going to say? Why is he? I didn't really get a lot of why he's better than Darkwing Duck. So again, just for the fact that he really impressed me, he really came around. Again, I think his foundation was good. Again, it could have been a little bit more, solid like Jacobs, but it was really just solid. And I think it was kind of like it tapped the champ on like the champion of the argument on the chin in a way that really kind of like knocked him for a loop. So I got to give it to Sandy.
All right.
Well, thanks.
Now I'm kind of regretting not picking Gosling for this, because Gosling was like a very, very much a standout. Like, she was so much better than the token girl character on any of the other shows. Anyways,
can I say something really quick here?
Yeah.
I did about 10 minutes of research, and that's it. I've never seen a single episode.
Oh God! Wow.
Yeah.
oh my God!
I watched
Way to just kick mud in Jacob's face there, Sandy.
I looked up Darkwing Duck on YouTube, and it's like funniest moments with Darkwing Duck. It's like clicked it, just watched some stuff. All right, let's type this out.
I've watched both all of DuckTales and Darkwing Duck.
Yep.
But yeah, I want to say though, again, that's impressive on Sandy's part there, knowing literally almost nothing about the game and still managing to pull it. Because again, I feel we had a really close fight with all three of these here. We had really solid picks for these guys.
That kind of makes me regret not going more into Launchpad in Darkwing Duck, because Sandy wouldn't have been able to refute any of what I said.
but seriously, guys, really impressed with the fight. Again, really strong picks. Really solid arguments. Just even kind of differing in the approach. So that's kind of where it came down. All right, moving on.
All right, round two.
Okay, round two. Best Disney villain reveal. Now, just to clarify for the folks out there and for our competitors here, just a little reminders that, of course, it can be Disney or Pixar, but not in introductions, like
or even Touchtone.
Oh, sure. Basically by reveal, I mean anything but an introduction. So not like hey, it's reveal. Here's this character. Like that doesn't count. I mean you can like reveal like that they're the bad guy, or a twist essentially. A twist or a reveal is somewhat kind of interchangeable. Just like the here's the reveal like that something special about this bad guy, that he is the bad guy, that we know him from something. That's kind of like basically a twist / reveal. That's kind of what it is. So we're gonna go around. We're gonna establish who has what.
Okay, my villain reveal is the fact that Tafiti and Tekar are the same person from Moana.
Okay.
All right, my villain reveal is bowler hat guy being Michael Yagubian in Meet the Robinsons.
My Disney villain reveal is Judge Doom not only being a toon, but being the toon that killed Eddie Valiant's brother.
Hey, Sandy.
What?
Did he talk just like this?
Remember me, Eddie, when I killed your brother? I talked just like this!
Damn, Dragon.
Wow.
Damn, Dragon, that's great.
Okay. All right, so Jacob, opening statement.
In Moana, in the movie Moana, with the goddess Tafiti is shown to be the goddess of Earth that gave life to everyone, who gave life to the planet and brought islands to the surface and gave them life. The goddess of life. But after Maui steals her heart, this being named Teka comes into existence. comes to be and attacks him. The story is told in a way that makes us believe that they're separate entities. And spoiler alert at the end, as we probably should have said spoiler alert. But
well, we see Disney villain reveal /twist. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but a belated spoiler warning for everyone watching this segment. Okay, skip to the next round if you don't want any of these movies spoiled for you.
Even though we kind of gave them away already. But it's
like, shame on anyone who hasn't seen Roger Rabbit. Okay, first and foremost.
Right.
But it's revealed that they are in fact Taka and Tefiti are in fact the same person. Taka's spout is spawning from actually the lack of a heart. It has a lot of interesting allegories on the story as a whole, including the theme of one's identity, of discovering one's identity and knowing who you really are, who you're meant to be. And also has several allegories for real world applications such as the devastation of nature. Okay, I'm done for right now.
Okay, so Michael Yagubian and Bowler Hat Guy, within the context of Meet the Robinsons, until the reveal, feel like they are very token characters, right? Like, Bowler Hat Guy literally doesn't even have a name. You could basically call him Snidely Whiplash. He's the mustache twirling bad guy.
Literally.
Michael Yagubian is the token adorable kid. He's basically like just the adorable kid sidekick to the Lewis character, even though there is kind of a weird thing going on with Goob throughout the film. And then we get to the reveal, and it all kind of comes together, and it makes two token characters into one incredibly complex character. I love this reveal because not only does it, is it a great kind of time travel, like, oh my god, this person is actually my childhood best friend. Oh, and by the way, this also kind of throws in the twist that Lewis is Wilbur Robinson's father on top of that. I mean, I'm not trying to make that argument. It's just sort of like happenstance. It's the same scene. But what I really love about this is the relatability of this scene. This is, honest to God, one of the most relatable Disney villain scenes we have ever had on film, because it all comes down to one bad day. That's what one of the greatest villains of all time, the Joker, is founded on. One bad day where Goob fell asleep because of what Lois was doing, doing the invention. Goob couldn't get to sleep. He ended up falling asleep at a baseball game. We've seen baseball be built up to be Goob's big thing throughout the movie, and that ruined his life, at least in his own mind. And I love just everything about this. You want to talk about subtext. This is basically like what you should and shouldn't do regarding like the philosophies of Walt Disney. There's so many interpersonal things for me that just hit home so much. I love the scene where Bowler Hat Guy is basically describing like, and they all hated me. But then in reality, we see like, hey, Goob, what's up? Want to hang out? So this reveal is not, like I said, just the crazy, wacky sci-fi time travel thing is just the cherry on top of the very interpersonal, like, you did this one thing to me and it ruined my whole life. And it's an incredibly complex and incredibly relatable reveal that's really, really interesting and really dynamic and intriguing to Meet the Robinsons.
Okay, Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. Feel the burn.
Okay. Oh, come on. Don't be like that.
In this category, I chose Judge Doom not only because not only is this character freaky from the get-go, never blinking, moving in odd ways and giving strange looks to people, but he's also a toon. And not just any toon! This toon also killed Eddie Valiant's beloved brother.
Yes, he
dun,
did.
dun, dun! This toon was the cause of the events that basically shaped Eddie's character in the movie. But nobody knew that until Doom's big reveal at the end. Eddie backs off in horror as Doom's eyes pop out to reveal those nasty, glowing red eyes. It explains everything from his psychotic nature to his off-kilter and freakish appearance. That's all I got.
Okay.
Okay. Let's take it to the Coliseum, gentlemen.
Okay, Taka is barely a villain. Like, Jacob, I agree with you about what you're saying, where it is an interesting kind of like, there is a lot to say about like human nature and, you know, so on and so forth. It's a beautiful painting, right? But Goob is a beautiful story. And that's the difference. Like, basically, your moment is built upon just that, a moment. It's like the one time in the Disney movie where your character really gets any sort of development at all, which is where I think yours kind of falters. Now, Sandy, Judge Doom is basically a meme, and you basically just made my argument for me, where the reveal is incredibly obvious. Where I feel like the Goob thing really stands out is it's obvious once you put the pieces together. You see this kid who on the outside is very precious and adorable, but, you know, on the inside is very dark and very, and very complex and has a lot of resentment. And it all sort of makes sense. And once you rewatch the movie and see Goob as Bowler Hat Guy, it's like a light bulb moment. Whereas, like I said, I think Taka and Tafiti is like one painting, and Judge Doom is basically a meme, and it's not a very good twist because it's pretty obvious.
Bowlerhead guy was upstaged by a hat.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the character was very fun. I think the hat complimented him.
No, I mean, in the movie, the hat took over his plane. He was just a pawn he was just a hat's pawn.
It's so ridiculous.
Now, look, guys, I'll remind you, we're not arguing which is the best villain, which is the best reveal of the villain.
The reveal of the villain, I mean, basically the whole reveal is just like he held this for so long he didn't even change out of his clothes. He changed out of his baseball uniform.
Yeah, and that's a really, really fucking funny visual image, and it's totally unexpected.
I mean, it kind of makes him make us take him less seriously as a threat at that point. I mean, he was never really a threat to begin with.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jacob. Like I said, Bowler Hat Guy is like, he is like the epitome of like, you know, like when you see, like, I remember before the movie came out, everyone was talking about like Bowler Hat Guy. I'm pretty sure his character, Bowler Hat Guy was such a meme on internet boards back in the day that I'm pretty sure they just called him Bowler Hat Guy in the movie because that's what people referred to him as when they saw the concept art. So yeah, he wasn't meant to be complex. He's not meant to be a threatening character. He's made just like Snidely Whiplash. He's made to be that sort of stereotypical like mustache twirling joke of a villain. But like I said, he's a joke of a person in a very, very sad and depressing way when we get to that reveal. And it makes him all the more relatable, the fact that he's so pathetic as a villain.
I mean,
how's that, motherfucker?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to hear more in defense of the other two. So I need to hear like why Tafiti and why Judge Doom are better.
Like I said, Takami, you say, wasn't really a villain. Wasn't really not much of a villain, but her presence is the entire driving.
I would honestly say that Krakatoa is more of a villain than Taka is, because, you know, at least he has a song.
Who the heck is Krakatoa? You mean
the shiny guy?
You mean Tamatoa?
Oh, Tamatoa. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay. Shiny.
Or the singing gleaming crab for everyone else.
What I'm saying is, like, her presence is felt. She's a constant threat throughout the movie. She was able to take down Maui. She was able to take down Maui from the very beginning. Here's the reason why they went to see Tamatoa to begin with.
Yeah, if only we would have seen any of that in the actual movie, because that's the thing that Disney villains are lacking nowadays, is screen time. Like, that's the reason why Hans is kind of a joke of a villain, is that he only is intimidating for about 10 minutes of the movie. And I feel like there's a similar, like, you're right, Taka does sort of, you hear about her and you kind of see the the elemental power, but there's no development on the actual character, which is where I think your reveal kind of falls flat.
All right, Tiki,
never
mind. Tiki, tell me why Judge Doom is obvious.
Well, like I said,
Oh,
Sandy just laid it out. It's like he moves like a cartoon, he acts like a cartoon, he works with tunes.
And the whole thing, and it's kind of obvious. Like it's like to quote Nostalgia Critic. Gee, I wonder who the bad guy is.
Exactly.
He's the only villain besides the sidekick Weasels established in this movie. And once Eddie goes on to spiel to Roger about him about his brother dying. I mean, it's kind of easy to put two and two together. When he's like,
right.
Judge Doom must have done that, but why?
All right. Let me clarify something here. Now, this is a villain reveal, okay? Now, both of you have different types of reveals. Jacob's is literally the bad guy being the good guy, that type of reveal. Tiki's is Bowlerhead guy being what's his name? I haven't seen the movie forever. Being the little kid from the beginning of the movie. So these are all different types of reveals. We know that Judge Doom is the villain. It's obvious from the get-go. What the reveal here is that he is a Toon, but not only a Toon, he is the Toon that killed Eddie Valiant's brother, which has shaped his character for this entire movie. It's shaped Eddie's character.
But like Jacob just pointed out, it's like he's the main villain of the movie, and Eddie Valiant, the whole like, oh, such and such killed my brother. It's a cliche. They wrote it into the movie literally as a cliche. The whole Toon killed my brother thing. It's a warming nod to the PR detective stuff. It's not a big sort of like plot revelation.
It's more meant for nightmare fuel more than anything else.
And honestly, with how much it's been memed over the years, I even think it's losing that edge.
At least he's a credible threat, and he's a credible.
You know what's
threat,
great about Goob is that Meet the Robinsons is a really underrated movie, but if you go back and watch it, it does have a lot of depth to it. Animation, not so much. It's not a pretty looking movie, but it does have a lot of great character stuff in it, which I think Goob and Bowler Hat Guy is sort of a central theme. They're like a central support for that whole thing.
And counteracting to that, though, Goob in a way kind of comes across as unsympathetic in that regard. I mean, his life was ruined by just like he said he made his life out to be ruined. I mean, like his life didn't have to be ruined just because he fell asleep at that one Little League game. Like he chose not to hang out with those people. He chose to drive the people who wanted to adopt him.
But Jacob,
away.
That's the relatable thing about it to me, though, because I'm someone who does suffer from that kind of like. Okay. I feel like that was a good comeback for me. I'm feeling good about myself now.
All right, we'll see. This one was pretty clear cut, I gotta say. Okay, let's start with Jacob. All right, Jacob. Again, Jacob had an interesting reveal, and again, definitely a recent example of kind of the villain reveals. And it's a clever one. It's a cleverly written one that does. I think Jacob highlighted kind of the cleverness of like kind of revealing it the way they did. But I feel there were a lot of shots taken at it that just he could not recover from, and it's really influencing my decision on this one. I got to tell you, Tiki really had this detrimental shot about lacking screen time. Yeah, how Disney villains now are increasingly lacking screen time, and that's the thing. This reveal, while it is clever, you do lack the full appreciation for it because it's revealed towards the very end, and it's not something like you look back on and necessarily doesn't really add a whole lot to the movie. I mean, let me put it this way. I think Jacob he started to address how it did some of that, how it just about discovering identity. I didn't hear more about that, and I feel that's kind of lacking in the argument. But I think he had the start of like a defense for the whole lacking screen time thing. But I needed more of that, and I just think there was a distraction with other people in the arguments. I think he was like I think Jacob's energy was kind of spent making good points, but to other arguments. So that's on Jacob there. Moving on to Tiki. So let's see. So I think Tiki really was solid in this argument. I think it really was.
I rewatched the whole movie today, so I did my homework on this one.
I can tell you rewatched the movie.
Yeah.
I really love there were certain there were a lot of really good, a lot of solid points made by Tiki, and Tiki really stood his ground. Of course, subverting the stereotypes by kind of mixing kind of the two token characters together. A lot of stuff there. Of course, the One Bad Day origin, but kind of the relatability. There's an element of Tiki's argument I really would have liked him to explore a little bit more, kind of how it embodied the philosophies of Walt Disney, like how he would have kind of felt on it. Because I mean, that was brought up kind of was how his kind of true, or like kind of breaking or kind of following certain rules of Walt Disney back in the day. I think that was could have really, honestly, I think it would have been like a cherry on top, quite possibly. I think I would have really just kind of made it. I would have made it clear cut, but still, it's like it's strong, but I don't know how much that's gonna carry him through.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, there was one other thing I gotta say about Tiki's, that Jacob had a really pivotal strike against Tiki's that. Again, kind of violated the form of the question, but it was a really good line. It was the whole, he's obscured by a hat. He's upstaged by a hat. He's upstaged by a hat. That is a fantastic line.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that takes anything away from my reveal or any of my arguments.
It does. I'm just saying it was a good line.
It was, yeah.
That's how lousy he is. He was upstaged by a hat.
Well, yeah, and he's also wearing the same clothes as a 12-year-old kid. Like, he's a pathetic character.
I'm just saying, I think some observancy was would cast somewhat of a cloud on the bowler head guy. That's something to consider. We'll see how that fares. So.
Okay.
All right. We're on to Sandy. So Sandy, I'm going to say, I think Sandy had the strongest pick.
What?
I think he had the strongest pick of judging. Very historic reveal on Simo. Let's not forget. Of course and I feel he touched upon like all the basics of the Judge Doom arc, which you should. How you look back and he covered like something I wanted Jacob to explore a lot more that Tiki had covered a little in his, is that the Judge Doom reveal, that fact that he was the Toon. Remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother. When he
it's so fun.
It is a lot. But seriously, like the fact that explains a lot of his behavior and stuff, like in the acting choices that Christopher Lloyd made. I wish he would have highlighted a few more distinctly of those choices, like the fact that he didn't blink, that he had like wind, a lot of cartoonish things applying to him throughout the film, like that even explained it visually as well as kind of story wise. And that's the thing I like. He's highlighting He's highlighting the fundamentals of this argument. I love it. There were a few shots made, like he's a meme, and the one that I found puzzling. And here's where I'm coming down on Sandy. Here's where I'm coming down the rest of this, by the way. Is that Tiki threw? I want to say Tiki threw the meme thing at him. Tiki, was that you? You threw like the meme?
Yes.
Yeah, you threw. Basically, it's a meme, but then bringing up that it's an obvious reveal. Now, I feel Sandy. There was a lot of room where you could have defended this. You could have stuck up and defended Judge Doom, let alone the moment or like why it's not obvious. And I didn't hear any of that. You stood your ground for a moment, but I didn't hear any defense, and I felt that was critical to your argument. That was lacking. So here's where I'm coming down on it, guys. Again, while I was going into this, I was kind of expecting Judge Doom to take it. I gotta say, I'm going with Bowlerhead guy. I think. Tiki
all right.
Honestly, Tiki, you made a really good point. I haven't seen that movie, and I saw that movie once, and that's when it came out.
No, it's funny, Sandy. I saw it literally once until today, and today was my second viewing.
Real quick, I just want to mention, I love my favorite moment with the bowler hat guy in that movie. I love the ending with bowler hat guy, where he just kind of has that bit where he's kind of gotten over his revenge, he just kind of disappears. So honestly, kind of like that. What's next with the binder? It's like, oh, was that cool moment with the bowler hat guy?
No, I was really impressed with your argument, Tiki.
Thank you.
I mean, once you go into the whole depth of it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, but I still don't see that. I don't see Judge Doom as an obvious reveal, by the way. I just wanted to say that.
I don't either, honestly, especially when you get down to that last scene, you're focused on way too much that you don't really think about Eddie and his brother. It's brought up enough, but not enough where you're thinking about it in big action scenes like that,
Yeah.
I was rewatching that scene just for context for all of these reveals, and just that again, there's nothing. It kind of boils your blood a little bit, or like kind of like curls your blood, I should say. When we see Eddie's reaction to him, like the whole he remembers that voice and he sees those eyes, like, oh my god, that's the thing. I really would have. I wish you hung on that moment, Sandy. That's the thing that got you.
Well, I did the voice. Wasn't that enough?
No, you did the voice. That was great. That's what I'm saying. And you were close, man. You were so close.
All right.
Wait, Dragon, did you rewatch all of these movies today?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow, really? Oh god! Wow.
Anyway,
Props to
Wow.
you, Dragon. Props to you.
all right. Question 3. This is a very small, insignificant question. Yeah, it was a very small. Here we go. Just Ferris throwing in there. It's just like casually. What is the? And let me be very careful in phrasing this for everyone. What is the single most important moment in Walt Disney animation history? All right, now this is not limited to just a scene in the films. It can relate to the behind the scenes. Just want to show the parameters of which I've kind of constructed this question. What is the single most important moment in Walt Disney animation history, behind the scenes or on the scenes? Big moment that we don't have the animation that Walt Disney today without this moment somewhere in its history. So,
Okay, my pick is what you guys refer to as the train story. In other words, Walt Disney losing Oswald the Lucky Rabbit to Universal and the creation of Mickey Mouse.
All right, my moment is the opening shot of the old mill, which introduced the multi-plane camera.
My pick is the release of Snow White.
okay, and so for the opening statements, I want to put this out there as well. So, guys, really describe your moments in the opening statements. So, you also do that along with whatever you want to kind of say to clinch your argument. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It's the mid 1920s. It's the mid 1920s. Walt Disney, after losing a lot of his artists and his most popular creation up to that point, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and a lot of his studio, except for a few people, including the famous Works, to Universal, to Walter Lantz. Which made Walt Disney it saddened him and probably and most likely made him more of the stingier person we saw later on in life. Made him much more protective of his copyright. But in this story, he lost Oswald, and along with Works and his wife Lily, and Walt's wife Willie, created a character that would unknowingly revolutionize pop culture as a whole. The creation of Mickey Mouse. They later on go on to star in. The first short, though, however, wasn't that great, but.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was not immediate. He was not an immediate, as I said, he was not an immediate success. But later on, he would later begin to become one of the most popular pop culture icons in history. That losing Oswald unknowingly led to the creation of one of the most recognizable characters in all of history, and also most likely led to Walt becoming the copyright protector that the company today has become basically known for. Made him into the businessman he is.
So basically, Jacob, you're saying that because of this moment, we have all the copyright bullshit going on YouTube right now.
That's what it sounds like.
I appreciate that.
Oh.
I said it's a significant moment in his animation history.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Dragon, you know how I use the whole Jacob, Jacob's moment is basically a painting against him. Well, I think I'm going to use this moment for my argument here, because the old mill, the opening segment of the old mill, is the most relevant quote-unquote painting in the history of Disney animation. Now, Mickey Mouse is, sure, the popularity of Mickey Mouse, I feel like, is the big selling point. I don't necessarily think the creation of the character itself was all that revolutionary, because in essence Mickey Mouse was just another redesign of an Oswald type character. But the old mill was the thing. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. The old mill, the opening shot of the old mill was the moment in Disney animation history when they went from making cartoons to making art. That's all I got to say for my opening statement. Okay. Making cartoons to making art.
Yeah.
Well, during the production of Snow White, Walt was faced with merciless negativity. Walt pressed on. He made that film. He dropped the jaws of people all over the world. And if it hadn't been for that one release of that one movie, we wouldn't have anything we know today. And that is a fact. That's my opening statement.
Oh, okay.
That was shorter than Tiki's statement.
Yes. Doesn't exactly have kind of the T-shirt quality of a quote, but okay.
All right.
Fight
Well,
it out.
just to dig into Jacob's even more, I feel like Jacob doesn't even have a defined point. Like, Jacob, are you talking about the point where he loses Oswald? Are you talking about the point where Walt and Lily create Mickey? Are you talking about Mickey Mania? I feel like those are three distinct, separate, like, events that all kind of culminate here.
We discussed this. It was all.
Tiki, seriously, you can't use that as a point. We've solidified these moments. So
Okay, but I still want to clarify though, Jacob, because like I didn't think we'd be going into the Mickey Mania side of things, and that's where my disconnect with your argument kind of comes into play. Like I think there's a difference between the creation of the character and the character exploding into becoming a pop culture icon.
What I'm saying was that was a consequence of what happened here.
All right.
he's looking at it in terms of context, Tiki. Yeah, so I'll allow that. He's just looking like down. We don't have Mickey as we have him today without that happening.
Like I said, little did we know that the character that they drew up on that train ride would go on to become one of the most popular pop culture icons in history. And let's face it, we wouldn't have Disney animation in general today as it is today if it wasn't for that. If it wasn't for him losing Oswald and creating Mickey along with his two other people.
But I kind of feel like there's a lot of different, like, interesting alternate paths that it could have taken, though, that necessarily, like, it wouldn't have gotten us the same result, but it still wouldn't have, like, derailed Disney animation history. And like I said, just the Mickey Mouse design itself, like, it is very clear that that moment was, like, Mickey is a character. This is the reason why I've always, like, not liked Mickey as a character, is that he's literally built out of cynicism. He is literally built out of, like, those son of a bitches at Universal stole my character. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a ripoff of that character.
It's not built. It's not based off. It's not. This argument isn't for the character, Tiki.
But like I said,
and your argument is, how do you say, a painting? I mean, that's basically, it sure just translated them into art, but it also led to them making more cartoons in general. It's basically just a glorified special effect.
No. Yeah, you're wrong about that, because Walt Disney was always pushing the bar, right? But I feel like the old mill was kind of pushing the bar in terms of storytelling as well. And it got us into this point of being very atmospheric. That's the big point with the old mill. That's what the old mill accomplished. And the opening shot just showed the possibilities there. Up until the old mill, Disney cartoons were gags. That's basically all they were. Sure, we had some cool techniques being played, like we had the first color cartoon with Flower and Trees. You know, we had the first sound cartoon with Steamboat Willie. But at the end of the day, those cartoons were all gag-based. The old mill, the second you see that, you see the spider webs and the swamp and the mill itself. It takes you into a time and place that is iconic, that is instantly recognizable, that is a huge, significant part of Disney history. And like I said, it's summed up in that one image. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
The thing is, there's other significant advances around that era that could have been, that are equally as advanced as that one.
But I'm saying that this was the one that really took the storytelling and the art and molded it together. All right, and we can't just
wait. So what you're saying is the opening shot itself established is the storytelling?
Yeah, I feel like I laid that out very well. Yeah, because it establishes the mood, it establishes the time and place.
Yeah, but you're talking about how it's like you're basically acting as if the opening shot is the entire film itself.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the opening shot is what lulls us into it. It's what really gets us into the mood, and it paints the picture.
Literally, the use of the multiplane effect. That's what is. You know, that opening with that showcase, the first showcase of the multiplane. That's what Tiki's moment is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Like the artistry behind it, and also the storytelling behind it. And I feel, Jacob, like we're kind of just letting Sandy just like, you know, hide in the sidelines. So, Jacob, do you want to tag team against Sandy? Do you want to? Jacob, let's make a truce here.
Okay, temporary.
I'm making an alliance in the middle of this debate. I'm making an alliance.
Watch out, though. He's got a knife behind his back for extra. Sandy's taking care of it. He's just going to stab Jacob in the side.
All right. So Snow White is an interesting take, because I feel like Snow White is a better overall product than Mickey Mouse is. But at the same time, it's really interesting because I feel like Disney at that point was on a very high trajectory with their Silly Symphony stuff and with the profits that had been accumulated with Mickey Mania, that I don't necessarily think the failure of Snow White or Snow White not happening, like there were other things Disney wanted to do besides Snow White.
Now look, guys, I got to clarify something. This is important for Sandy's thing, so we don't just kind of waste time on possibly the wrong argument here. Okay, the Snow White, Sandy, you're specifically talking about the Snow White premiere, basically, like, the kind of the culmination of the success in lieu of all the troubles during the production of Snow White, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to make that clear, so everyone knows.
I'm aware.
Okay, keep going. Just sorry, I just want to make sure.
All right, so like I said, Sandy's thing is the culmination of success, but that's something that Disney has kind of done over and over and over again, and it's nothing new in the context of the Disney pathos and the like I said, I think the creation of Mickey and Steamboat Willie and the sound cartoons and the it's not as significant, but it's another, like, Snow White was just kind of like another like level. But I feel like Snow White very much incorporated the same sort of like cheesy kind of like, it's not a great movie. It's a very dated movie, if you want to know the truth. And I know that's not what we're arguing. We're arguing the historical context behind it. But I just think at the end of the day, if Snow White had flopped, if Snow White hadn't been what it was, the studio still probably would have been able to move on, because that sweet Mickey Mouse revenue was still pushing the studio forward at that time. They were not in danger of going bankrupt. This wasn't a Cinderella type situation where if Cinderella crashed and burned, that would have destroyed the studio. This on the other hand, this was just like, it was a costly experiment, but they still had money to back them up. They still had money to do Bambi and to do other things that they wanted to do with feature-length animation. If this failed, it wouldn't have been the end of days.
If the old mill failed, would it be the end of days?
If the opening shot of the old mill hadn't gone the way they wanted it to, if the multiplane hadn't worked the way they wanted it to, I don't know. Like, I think the artistry of Disney,
as you brought up with Mickey, it could have just easily been. It could have easily just been reintroduced into another future film and perfected, which it actually was later on with multiple other films and multiple later films. It was improved upon in every single way.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was improved upon. Yes, but the opening shot of the old mill was kind of the thing that got the ball rolling on all of that, though. Like, without that opening shot working the way that it did, and without the old mill being the success that it was, it was an Oscar winner. It was a big box office success. Like, I feel like if the effects of the old mill weren't up to par, and the old mill wasn't as iconic as it was, and it didn't work as well, then maybe Disney wasn't going to push the artistry side of things. Maybe Disney would have backed off from the artistry side of things a little bit. The fact of the matter is, the opening shot of the old mill worked so well that it changed the whole context of the Disney narrative. It made people want to know more about what Walt Disney could accomplish with his art. He wasn't just the cartoon guy anymore. And that was a historic leap forward for him.
But still, none of these things would have even existed if the train story hadn't happened, losing Oswald. I mean, Walt Disney wouldn't have found these new artists. He wouldn't have had the talent to make the old mill and make the multiplane or even make Snow White.
Okay, I got to hear more from Sandy now.
Yeah, please, Sandy.
Well, this whole situation is really one reason why Mr. Disney is such a man to admire, even today. It's the kind of person he was from the very beginning, persevering and facing his challenges and working through difficult, even career-threatening situations. All these things led to the miraculous release of Snow White and the growth of the Walt Disney Studio. It may have just been another animated movie, but it means so much more than what most people today even know. I mean, most people don't know that Snow White was the first animated Disney film ever. It held the careers of almost all the studio workers in the air as they hoped the movie would succeed, and it proved positive as the movie was acclaimed all over the world. I'm sure that must have been a huge relief and a huge payoff for Walt and all of his hard work and all the sweat, blood, and tears he spent, and especially with all the negativity he was getting during production.
Yeah, but he would have recovered. He's a strong man, and he would have gotten past the criticism if it would have crashed and burned.
He would have recovered, but he wouldn't we wouldn't have what we have today, at least not as much.
Who's to say? Who's to say? I feel like the two animated films that came after Snow White were far superior to Snow White with Pinocchio and Fantasia. Like those are such better movies.
And he also definitely would have recovered if the old mill had failed. But he wouldn't have even achieved the success or the ability to do these if losing Oswald and the creation of Mickey hadn't happened.
Jacob, here's your thing. I feel like your argument is kind of just like a strong arm argument where you're arguing just like, oh, it came first, so therefore, and that's like the only thing I'm hearing from you about it, though. Like, and I feel like that's sort of like an unfair position to put us in, really.
Yours is just basically it pioneered this effect and turned them into art.
Yeah, but I feel like I've laid out like several really good arguments for that, and I've made a lot of good examples. Yours is just like, oh, it came first. You wouldn't have gotten the other stuff if this hadn't happened. And I feel like I've actually given a lot of really good examples for how my moment shifted things.
I pointed out some several things, like how it changed Walt into the man that he is.
Yeah, and like I said, that might not necessarily have even been for the better.
You said it was significant. I never said it was for the better.
And also, Jacob, just to fact check, Walt's bitterness really came from the death of his mother after he bought his mother the house, and his mother died in the house that he bought her. That's where the imagery of Walt is like the, kind of like the very, very cantankerous boss. That's where it all stemmed from. It wasn't necessarily the universal thing. Also, Jacob, another thing to bring up with your Mickey thing, the context behind the Mickey thing is still very muddled. We don't know how much involvement of Iwerks had with the design of Mickey. Like, for all we know, that whole train story, it's a very popular kind of like, did Walt sort of like come up with the general idea of Mickey and then Iwerks refined the design? We don't know all the specifics of that. It's all very unclear. And so I feel like the train thing actually simplifies Disney history in almost kind of a negative way, because it just sort of whitewashes Iwerks out of the equation entirely. Bam.
The story has said included Iwerks in its creation. I have mentioned that several times.
Yeah, you included that Iwerks was the bad guy who turned against Walt to work for the villains. Okay, that's literally all you said about Iwerks.
Hey!
I never said anything like that in the story.
Oh, you shut up!
I never said anything about Iwerks. I said a lot. Right. I said that hiding away.
No! Hey!
Yeah.
Okay. If I need to hear from you, I need you to tell me right now. I need you to tell me Iwerks what exactly he did. Like, what is the account of what happened with the creation of Mickey Mouse with Iwerks? So tell me, the folks out there, what the story is with Iwerks.
The story was that Walt and Lily Walt came up with the idea of a mouse. Lily gave it its name, and basically Iwerks was tested creating the story around the character. He's credited as the co-creator of Mickey Mouse.
Tiki, what account do you hear that disputes this?
Well, the thing is, like I said, the thing is, I feel like the train story simplifies that. You know what I mean? The train story is basically like, well, I came up with the design of Mickey Mouse, and it was all me, and that might not necessarily be how it went down in real life, but that's how history has kind of glorified that moment.
I know you might have a better first-hand knowledge of this based on the museum.
Goddamn right I do.
I know, so I'm asking you to clarify this for me, because you'd probably be the best person to go to on this question. So tell me this. If Walt did a rudimentary design of Mickey, it's just basically a cartoony mouse that he would want, refined into kind of like a more finalized Mickey Mouse design.
That's exactly what happened, Dragon. And
as a
matter of fact, at the museum, we have a drawing. We have the original Mickey Mouse drawing, and it is very crude, and it's not. The thing that Iwerks did that, like I said, the train story kind of like whitewashes over, is Iwerks gave Mickey Mouse the round design. You know what I mean? He gave him like the Walt's Mickey was more jagged. He had the more pointed nose. He had the more crooked arms and everything. Iwerks really perfected the design to make it more smooth, more round, more pleasing to the eyes. And like I said, it's just that little bit of muddled history that, like, the train story has become so larger than life that it just kind of writes a Byworks almost out of the equation.
You have response
That's the
to that,
problem
Jacob?
I have with it.
In my telling of the story, I included him. I included him as like the co-creator, and he helped with its creation. I never outside.
Right, Dragon, I feel like we're going into back and forth here.
All right, Sandy, anything you like to add about the premiere? Like, you think it's going to clinch it over the other two? Like, what does the premiere have that the other two really don't?
Well, it doesn't have this whole muddled, whitewashed backstory crap that it's all very straightforward. Walt in his studio, and all his workers were brutally criticized by everyone else, or almost everyone else. A lot of people that mattered, and Walt and his studio proved them all wrong.
All right. Boy, that was a tough
really
one.
Strong, yeah.
Okay, we got a lot of. It's a complex one this round. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let's start with Jacob. So, I feel Jacob started very well. He was Tiki delivered this remark to Jacobs in his opening statement that I think kind of stuck on Jacobs a little bit. The whole it's another Oswald, it's built from cynicism. I thought that was kind of like a detrimental thing. Again, not entirely detrimental, but it's like starting to crack and like kind of cracking the solid argument. Pointing out it's a gag-based cartoon. Basically we got into a bit where it's kind of the gag-based cartoon versus kind of the art of it's kind of gags versus art. That's kind of what I was getting at with the art of the multiplane. Now Jacob did have, and Tiki called him on this, and that's where I'm kind of conflicted with Jacob's here. So Jacob, is kind of the point of origin. So I think, in the grand scheme, I think again, I'm not giving my final ruling here. I'm just saying it. I think in terms of a pick, Jacob has one that's very in line with the question. One's very in line, like what this. The single most important moment in Walt Disney animation history. Again, this does create Mickey Mouse, and Mickey Mouse as a symbol, but also Walt kind of taking lemons and making lemonade. And I really wish he would have focused more on that element of Walt literally taking lemons, making lemonade. And I think he started off really strong, bringing up these really great points of like it's kind of how we have a protective Disney like we do today. But I didn't really hear more past that, explaining how we got to that point. So I'm conflicted on Jacobs there, and we'll circle back to that. Moving on to Tiki. Now, Tiki started. I'll say this though. I think the most impressive opening statement, probably Tiki's. Tiki had the most impressive opening statement with that whole.
I also think I was the underdog here too.
Well, I don't know. Again, they all had really good moments. Let me put that out there. They all had really significant historic moments for Walt Disney. Oddly enough, all Walt. Very much Walt era, Walt related.
Well, there was no way I was picking any Renaissance stuff.
Right. So the idea of the opening, the opening shot, basically making cartoons in art, that was a really good kind of sell line. One fundamental flaw in Tiki's arguments, I think he defended Jacobs too much. Not against Jacob. I mean, he to take down Sandy's, he bolstered Mickey. He bolstered the creation of Mickey Mouse.
That was a strategy, Dragon.
That's strategy, but it's helping out Jacob way more than it should. That's the thing. Like Tiki, you in that team up, you did all the legwork, and you used Jacob like as a blunt instrument to beat Sandy down with. That's not.
I'm back.
I was pretty much going to say something regarding that, but I thought I'd just let it slide.
That's the thing. So Tiki, well, you did make good points. I mean, that to me, that's a flaw. That's the thing. Well, I think in terms of just kind of arguing, like based on the argument itself, I think that's it's kind of an issue. But we'll see how that carries you. Then let's get to Sandy. And again, Sandy had a very iconic moment. Addition because there only been 2 premieres that Disney ever attended. Of course, this and for Snow White and for Mary Poppins, correct?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that, so I'm just going to
I mean, those are the 2 that I know of. I didn't know those were the only 2.
I'm pretty sure those are the only 2. Like, those were like the only 2 premieres they ever attended. Like, again, they were big moments in themselves. Again, that would be another Walt-centric moment to pick as well. But, with the live-action, kind of the most famous live-action.
Well, Mary Poppins would have been a more personal pick, I think.
Exactly. So the point is there's a lot of really
Yeah.
Great stuff with that. So let's see. So again, I think Sandy was surprisingly solid on this. He was. I wish he would have delved into things a little bit more. You know, he talked. He did the thing that Jacob should have done more of. He focused on Walt himself in this. You know how Walt. This premiere was a symbol of Disney's success, and like all the stuff he went through, kind of coming out the light at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel. And with Sandy's, it really brought up this great question. I think kind of spread like a virus into the other questions. It kind of raised this and scrutinized the other ones under this whole. Without it, do we still have Disney? I mean, basically, do we still have things the way they are without this moment? And with the Snow White premiere, it is with that logic in mind. It is somewhat of a premiere, and I think that hurt the Snow White premiere thing. And the fact we didn't quite look into I really wish with all of yours we could have recapped the moments just a little bit more. That's what I was really looking for. I mean, Tiki, I didn't really hear you describe the you didn't really walk us through the old mill multiplane thing, which I was kind of hoping we'd get. I'm not taking away too many points.
I thought I did. I mean, I described the whole it's the spider webs, and then it's like the dimensions of it.
Well, I mean, I was saying I wish she was kind of I don't know, like more.
All right.
Again,
yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, so. So I mean, basically, I heard like a surface argument for Snow White, which I thought was solid, but I wanted more substance with it. So I tell you, it's close between these two, and also I would have liked to hear a lot more from Sandy too. That kind of.
Yeah, Sandy was very much sort of just in the background that fight, I think.
So I got to give it to again. It's close, but for different reasons. I'm giving it to Jacob.
Oh.
Right.
I'm going to Jake because again, I think Tiki sacrificed way too much of his footing.
If I hadn't done that, if I hadn't made that move,
you would have won had you not made that move, Tiki.
Sandy, it's all your fault because I just wanted to get something in against you because it was just like we were going so back and forth.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way, though. We have it's a rarity here. It's the second time it's ever happened. We have everyone gets one.
Oh my God, you're right. Everybody only gets one.
All right, so now, folks, we're breaking glass here. We're breaking glass. And
do we get to do Purple Rock of Death? Would
you like to do Purple?
I would love to do Purple Rock of Death.
I had this. Okay, I'm gonna.
As long as the other two are down with it.
Well, okay, I'll pull to a vote if they agree. We'll do Purple Rock. Otherwise, we're breaking out the emergency glass question.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, are you familiar with the Purple Rock of Death? Just for a refresher.
We remember what happened last time, so yeah.
I don't know what this is.
Basically, we're going to leave it up to the randomizer who's not going to be in the round.
And it comes out of the whole Survivor thing when there used to be a tie. They draw rocks, and whoever got the purple rock was eliminated.
So everyone has 1 point, Sandy, and the idea is if we do this Purple Rock thing, whoever it was, if he comes up first, they're going to be out of it.
Yeah,
right?
Whoever comes up first, yeah.
So whoever the number one spot is, that person. So again, it's completely random, and again, it only works if you guys sign off on this. Otherwise, we'll make sure it's absolutely fair to each and every one of you. So it's a vote here. So
I want to do it just because it's good TV.
Tiki's down for it. What about you two guys? You want to put up the chance to see who ascends to the speed round?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Jacob's down for it. Sandy?
Yep,
I'm down for it.
Okay, well, we're doing the Purple Rocket. Well, wait, Tiki.
What?
That's what I mentioned last time. That's what I mentioned last time when Tiki pretty much ousted himself.
And I'm willing to do it again because it's good TV, Jacob.
Okay,
and I love good TV.
Just to ensure absolute randomness, we're going to put them in alphabetical order.
All right.
Which we have.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to randomize and see who's going to get ousted.
All right. In 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Jacob! Oh, Jacob!
Oh man,
I feel bad.
Well, now he's going to be the second opinion.
I feel so bad. Jacob put in a lot of effort into this. I wanted it to be Sandy.
I will say this though.
This is me. That's just.
You know what's funny? I would have thrown this out had it come up the same way I had before. You have Jacob, Tiki, then saying because I was like, okay, something's wrong here.
Right.
No, it's a fair random ruling, so we ruled on it. So Jacob's he's in kind of my little kind of co-judge chair on the side here.
I'm so sorry, Jacob.
He's in the little scrunchy chair.
No, I agreed to it, so it's on me too.
All right.
The good news is you get to watch him squirm.
Yep. Okay, let's break out the stopwatch. Let's get this thing started.
And of course, folks, speed round, they're kind of doing kind of the sandwich here where it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So 30, 15, 30. So 30-second opener, 15-second rebuttal, 30-second closer. Okay.
All right.
30-second bread.
Okay.
30-second bread, 15-second meat.
Got some delicious Oreos, and we got some filling cream.
Yes, that too.
Okay, so you guys ready?
Yo.
Right.
This was intended as the break glass question, which I'm
Okay,
just gonna use now.
so Sandy and I both have 1 point, and it's 5 points. So
Yes.
so basically, it's best 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure I get it. 3 out of 5. Okay. All right. Okay, this in light of all the kind of the controversy on many fronts in film these days, but also with relating to the Muppets, which Muppet should take over a human role in an ongoing franchise?
Which Muppet should take over?
Wait, what? You're
Okay,
gonna
let
have
me
to clarify that.
Yes. So, of an existing franchise, which means it's not like a franchise that has like it's a trilogy and like no Lord of the Rings or anything.
I mean, like, okay, just to clarify, like, is a Muppet taking over? Like, is he replacing a character, or is it just a Muppet being added to a franchise?
No, it is replacing a character. It's replacing any existing character in an ongoing franchise. So no old completed ones. I mean, you know, you have like a whole lot of examples of things.
Okay, I'd replace Animal with Danny Rand.
I have no idea who that even
Okay, well,
is.
then-
I don't watch much TV.
Well, I meant film franchise, but
Oh, you meant film franchise?
yeah, I thought that was kind of like.
Oh no, okay. Shit.
Okay, can you think of? Okay, let's just film franchise.
Damn it! I really want to replace Danny Rand with a Muppet. Damn it! Okay.
Look, if you guys really can't think of any movies, then we'll open
No,
up.
no. I can do this. I can do this.
Okay.
Okay, I would replace Patrick Wilson with the Swedish Chef in the Conjuring movies.
Okay, so Swedish Chef.
With Patrick Wilson in the Conjuring. So yes, that means that the Swedish Chef is going to be married to Vera Farmiga.
I love that idea. I really. Then again, I loved anyone married to Vera Farmiga. Okay, so Tiki, that means you're going first, by the way. So now it's on to Sandy. You got to think of an existing film franchise, anyway, an ongoing one, not the God. So no historic ones.
What'd you say about?
Like not the Godfather, because that's like an old school one that's done. So it's not.
Right.
I mean, I'd be down for him to replace the God. Like I've seen a lot of Rolf as the Godfather art.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
I'm really not sure what to pick. I'm just gonna go with Sam the Eagle as Tony Stark.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Iron Eagle?
What?
I'm surprised you didn't go with Falcon.
Oh,
He doesn't know enough about the MCU to know who Falcon is.
That may be his downfall. We'll see. Okay, so
He doesn't have to go. You don't have to go with the MCU, you know.
Well, yeah, he does, because there's been no other film interpretations of Iron Man.
Well, I'm saying, if he did,
Are we gonna go like the hypothetical Tom Cruise Iron Man that never happened?
No. Okay, so
What I meant was he didn't have to go with an MCU character or a Marvel character.
Oh yeah, you're
Like a
right.
character.
You're right, and that's Sandy's downfall.
okay. So Tiki, you're going to start us off whenever you start, and also start the clock. That's when we start. 30 seconds.
Gotcha.
Oh, this will be good.
So Swedish Chef in the Conjuring franchise absolutely destroys the Conjuring franchise's horror potential, but it makes it into something that's just absolutely ridiculous and just insane, and just I just love the idea of it. I love the idea of the Swedish Chef being in these horror movie settings, and like he's the thing that breaks the tension. It would be just a classic like Muppets fucking with what's supposed to be a very tense situation. And plus, Swedish Chef is going to be married to Vera Farmiga, and that's awesome.
I think R2 agrees with you on that one.
A bird from Mega.
Hey, Sandy, whenever you're ready.
don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Oh,
Sam the Eagle in an Iron Man suit.
I started, so go ahead.
Keep going.
You talked. You talked, Sandy.
That kind of speaks for itself, I guess. I'm not sure how he'd grab things. Oh wait, he has hands, doesn't he? It's not... Okay, never mind.
Yes, Iron Man has hands. Yes.
All right. Hopefully he doesn't hate his mirror. Hopefully he doesn't. I don't know. Yeah.
You know what's obvious? Sam Eagle is Captain America. That's obvious. Why the hell did you not go that route? I'm done. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that would make more sense, doesn't it?
15 seconds, Sandy. Unless you throw in the towel like I did.
No.
Oh, my 15 seconds starts now?
Whenever you start speaking.
Okay, picture this. A big Avengers battle. And Sam comes in as Iron Man. Now we cut to Wayne and Wanda. And then we get a Wayne and Wanda short.
The
Come on, you don't remember Wayne and Wanda?
I know.
Yeah.
I know who Wayne and Wanda is.
I'm not taking this seriously. I'm really not.
Hold on. I'm gonna respond to the Wayne and Wanda thing in the context of my time because that's how confident I am. I know who Wayne and Wanda are, obviously. It's just like, what the hell are you doing, Sandy? Like, what I'm doing is basically turning like a horror franchise that can be self-serious to the point of parody and pointing it into like full-on parody and just making it just as ridiculous as it should be. What you're doing is just inserting Sam Eagle into a Marvel role and not even the role that he was supposed to be. And plus, Swedish Chef and Vera Farmiga.
I just want to say is you're not going to get extra points for the Farmiga Swedish Chef thing, all right? We already responded to it. You're not going to get extra points.
I just want to throw it in.
All right, 30 seconds, Sandy.
Well, first of all, Tiki, I was not taking this seriously to begin with because I know I've already lost. Second of all,
and that's all you said.
Wow. That was, yeah.
Those are
Back Dragon
song. Okay.
Captain America.
Jacob, how are you feeling about it? Anything you'd like to elaborate on, or just okay?
Yes,
Other
please
than-
elaborate, Jacob. Elaborate. Why is it better than mine? Why mine is better than his?
His is better than yours, just based on general purpose and general consensus alone.
Since I actually like put effort into mine, I'd like to hear some feedback on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with.
I mean, granted, I haven't seen The Conjuring at all, but
Dragon hasn't either.
Nope.
But I do know enough about that. The Swedish Chef would completely wreck the tone of the film itself. I mean, granted, I don't even give a rat's as who Vera Farmiga is, but
Hey,
You watch your mouth.
Yeah.
it's an angel, darn it.
You can get a goddamn devil for all I care. I don't care.
All right, Dragon, please.
So, but like I said, so that doesn't do anything for me. But it would be pretty interesting to see that. It's just to see that regardless. I mean, because I know how much of an actress she is, and throwing in an actress like throwing in the Swedish Chef into this really would make quite an interesting premise and completely because Swedish Chef pretty much elevates anything he's in.
Okay, here's what I'm coming down on. So starting with Tiki. So Tiki, with Patrick Wilson being replaced with Swedish Chef, I gotta tell you, so I'm intrigued by the idea of turning The Conjuring kind of funny with kind of playing with the absurdity of it's Swedish Chef and Vera Farmiga. So just tabling my and never in the love with Vera Farmiga, just tabling.
Yes.
I feel there was like kind of a Death Star shaped hole in Tiki's argument that Sandy, if he was trying, he could have hit and he would have taken. At least he would have knocked him for a big loop, and he would have had a fighting chance if he hit upon the fact that again you're kind of sacrificing what the original property is about, the fact that it's no longer a horror movie, but at the same time, as one who's looked on, Tiki did also say that it would, be kind of what the Muppets do. They kind of spoof. It would be a spoof of horror, but in a good way, not like kind of your.
No. Like, to be more specific, it would be the Muppets ruining something. Which is what the Muppets do best. They try to do stuff, but then they ruin it.
Well, it would feel kind of a little bit like the Muppet Show in that regard. Like, they're kind of taking something we see and they're kind of making it their own. So I meant spoof in that context, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point is, I think an argument could be made to go against that, and there wasn't. That's speaking to that, Sandy. So, here's the thing. So Sam Eagle as Tony Stark is an interesting choice, and I feel you could have gotten some mileage out of that. You could have looked at kind of the context of Iron Man 1, where they had kind of the American kind of weapons dealer, with Sam Eagle, and put that in the context. But none of that was explored whatsoever. And of course, I think Tiki had a very detrimental comment that had me rolling on the floor laughing, but still a detrimental comment.
It's so obvious.
Sam Eagle's Captain America.
It's so obvious.
Or again, Captain America. In fact, both Captain America characters you could have easily, there. I think
I don't really watch those movies. I thought his name was Captain.
Well, then you shouldn't have picked someone from the MCU then.
There actually is a Captain Europe, though, like a Captain Britain. There actually is a Captain.
Yeah, but not in film. So
I know.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so just also, I think the only two things that Sandy really.
Can I just say this is taking way too long to decide the winner on this?
Well, just so much Tiki's response was what?
All right. Can we just get this? Oh, come on, Dragon. Come on.
All right. Okay, Tiki gets the point.
That's what All right.
Okay.
Question 2.
Okay, question 2. And the score right now is 2-1.
2-1.
Tiki 1, Sandy. Okay, best scene in Mulan.
Oh.
I haven't even.
I'll make a man out of you.
Okay, that's what Tiki's pick is.
Let's see.
I haven't seen that movie in ages.
I think the last time I saw Mulan was in 2nd grade.
Do you have backup questions then, Dragon? I mean,
come on, is any scene from Mulan? Come on.
I mean, I don't want to make this like a massacre here.
I really can't remember much.
Yeah, Dragon, come on. Let's do an.
All right, fine. I'll go to an auxiliary question. All right. All right. So it's a silly one now.
Okay.
Which Star Wars character should open a restaurant?
Oh God. C-3PO. Come on, Sandy. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru could open a milk bar.
They're so boring. I would never choose them.
Blue milk? You get a blue milk bar?
Yes, it could be like the Star Wars equivalent to the milk bar from A Clockwork Orange.
Hey, Tiki, I just want to stress something here now. When you said 3 out of 5, did you mean 3 out of these 5 questions? You mean 3 entirely?
No, I mean 3. Like whoever. It's like how the World Series works, Dragon.
For some reason, I really want to pick Dengar, but then that just makes me think I have to theme it around the toilet.
All right, Sandy, think seriously. I mean, there's a plethora of
This
Star
isn't
Wars
that
canon.
hard, Sandy. You had an excuse for the Milan thing.
There's so many.
Huh.
There's so
I'm
many.
not substituting this question. This is come on. This is like paint by numbers, man.
Come on, man.
There's only a whole moment that there's a whole bar in Star Wars.
I know, right?
There are cantinas in all 3 trilogies.
Can I change my answer to B. Arthur from the holiday special?
Oh my.
If,
Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Chewbacca.
Okay.
And
You know,
all the menu
I'll stick
items
with
are all in-
C-3PO. I'll stick with C-3PO. Never mind the
and
B.
all,
Arthur
and
thing.
all the menu items are in Wookiee, so no one can read them.
we'll see how that works. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving me fuel for my argument, Sandy. Okay. All right, opening statement then. C-3PO is the ultimate guy who can just, like, if you want service, which is what the restaurant industry is all about, C-3PO is just right. Like, who better than C-3PO to provide service? Plus, the opposite of Sandy, that menu is going to be printed in every single language throughout the galaxy. And C-3PO's knowledge of other cultures is also going to make that menu very, very wide and ethnically diverse.
I suppose I can't change my choice. can I?
No.
Oh, you're set in stone.
Since you have to argue the Star Wars Holiday Special as a restaurant, essentially. But yeah, go on.
Well, it's Chewbacca opening a bar. That's what it is.
Come on, Sandy. Come on.
Oh, you're.
It's the Wookiee bar. And no one can tell what the what kind of drink they're getting, so they just have to, just take the plunge and hope it's not poison. It's all in Wookiee. That's right.
We're gonna go.
Is that like the end of the fight? Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout. Yada, 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 yada. The spider went down the drain. Ooh, spiders and Harry's pie and whatnot. I'm talking gibberish, and it's better than Sandy's stuff.
Ow.
I'm making a point.
The purple stone thing was the worst idea we've ever had.
Oh boy.
Oh,
All
Dumb
of the
purple
seats in Chewbacca's Wookiee bar are made of Wookiee fur, so they're extra comfortable. That makes them extra comfortable to sit in. So everyone goes there to sit in the seats. That's right.
Oh, hi, Lisa. I'm going to use half of my argument to talk like Tommy Wiseau because Sandy's making this so easy for me. But seriously, Sandy, seriously. So you're saying that Chewbacca is going to just furnish his entire bar with the skins of his people? What kind of a fucked up, savage individual does that? That would be like having human skin on bar stools.
It's Shere Khan all over again. I mean, now, Sandy, listen, this is your last shot at it. You can pull this off.
I've literally
amazing
like
30
given you 30 seconds of free time.
Now look, I shouldn't even do it. I'm just saying, look, you have 30 seconds. You have 30 wonderful seconds. Pull it all together. You can.
All right, now let me clarify something, Tiki. He did not kill his people to decorate and furnish his bar with their skins. I
He
said
just watched
that,
the bottom.
no, the seats are made of Wookiee fur, so he just shaved them down. Okay, it's a lot better. Okay, and I don't know. He has a large selection of Wookiee drinks, including Wookiee urine. So people have to hope they're not getting that.
Oh, God.
Can I just point out, Sandy didn't even pitch a restaurant; he pitched a bar.
Well, is this a restaurant or a bar?
It's a
he said
restaurant!
Oh, I thought it was a bar.
Where did Dragon ever say bar?
Wow.
All right.
So, Dragon, I'm curious what you thought of my whole strategy of just literally throwing time at Sandy because I pitied him.
It was a gutsy one. Again, that 30 second, the closest thing Sandy threw at you was Wookiee drinks, but then he kind of torpedoed that.
He still has Wookiee drinks. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to Chewbacca's Wookiee bar? He has a Wookiee furnished seats.
You have a very simple reason, Sandy. People don't like Wookiee urine.
Yeah.
I said Wookiee furnished seats, not Wookiee yarn.
No, Wookiee urine. That's what you pitched as one of the drinks.
Oh. Well, no one really knows that's what it is, so they don't know.
Why would they
That makes it even worse. Because then this establishment, could you imagine a bar literally selling piss and not telling people that it was piss? Oh no, man, it's just a really strong beer. It just tastes like piss.
No.
It's not. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. We don't have
It's vodka in space. They just don't know.
Oh, man.
All right, so I'm not really going to break that one down as in depth.
Please don't.
So the point goes to 3-1.
So this is your last chance, Sandy.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess I should go. I'm going to go to one of the big questions here.
Okay.
That's a tough one. If Sandy hasn't seen any of these movies, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh man. Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna say the titles of these ones now. Wait till you hear the second one, because whoever says it first will argue that one.
Wait. I mean, I thought you said 3, not 2.
What did I say?
You said 3. You said whoever, like, once I say the second film.
Yeah, the second one. There's only it's two choices. It's whoever.
He said
Where are you
2
getting 3?
films.
Where are you getting 3 from?
You literally just said if Sandy hasn't seen these 3 films.
Oh.
I said either of these films. Either.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Anyway, so this is like, which is the better film? I mean, let's listen. I said, listen carefully. Reflexes, folks. Reflexes. Okay, which is the better film? Lilo and Stitch, or The Emperor's New Groove?
Oh, I love those films. I saw both of them recently.
The Emperor's New Groove. As much as it pains me to say. God,
Well,
I feel like I'm picking between kids here.
No,
I know.
you're saying The Emperor's New Groove is worse?
No, I'm saying it's better.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll go with Lilo and Stitch then.
Oh, man. Oh, this is a good one, Dragon. Oh, God. All right.
Just want to make sure I got it in there, just in case this is the last one.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll go first. I feel like The Emperor's New Groove is flat out like one of the most watchable Disney movies ever. You can just watch it over and over and over again, and you'll catch new jokes, new gags. One of the things that The Emperor's New Groove excels at over Lilo and Stitch is Lilo and Stitch kind of has a lame villain in Captain Gantu, whereas Yzma is just an incredible villain where she's both threatening and incredibly funny. Plus, it has Kronk. There's just so many elements of Emperor's New Groove.
One thing that Lilo and Stitch really has going for it is the artistic style of the characters and the backgrounds and the settings and the colors. Just everything. It all just has that really nice, fine, rounded edge around it. The tables and the characters, they're very pleasing to the eye. And so is the story. People love the story. They love Stitch. Stitch is obviously a huge, he's a big Disney trademark now. He's everywhere. People love the movie. I honestly love the movie. I love Gantu. I love all the characters, villains, heroes. Would it be? Not. Anyways, yeah. I guess I'm done.
I think Stitch is the biggest problem of Lilo and Stitch. That character took over everything. People don't talk about the sisterly bond because Stitch was like the big marketing ploy, and Stitch led to one of the worst attractions in Disney history with Stitch's Great Escape.
A little harsh on that one, but okay.
I'm just saying.
Stitch's Great Escape has nothing to do with that. That was decided afterwards. We're talking about the movies themselves and how they were, not about what came after them. Speaking of this whole hating the main character thing, Cusco is actually incredibly annoying. He's full of himself, he's a complete dork, and he's greedy. And that's a lot more just like...
Cusco is basically Disney Deadpool. I mean, come on. He's an ass, but he knows he's an ass and he's proud of it. And also the thing with Lilo and Stitch is that all the artistic qualities that it has going for it, Frozen did it better. Frozen did the story arc with the sisters better. That's right. I said it because it's going to win the argument. Lilo and Stitch is completely irrelevant because of Frozen now. And I just think stylistically and just in terms of the humor, Emperor's New Groove is far better.
Lilo and Stitch is a very good movie.
And
I want to elaborate on that.
The Emperor's New Groove is a very bad movie.
Oh God!
Come on.
Lilo and Stitch is significantly better than Emperor's New Groove because Emperor's New Groove is a very bad movie.
Oh come on!
Give the lad 10 extra seconds. Sandy, save yourself.
All right, 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
That's why Lilo and Stitch is significantly better because Emperor's New Groove is so bad.
Oh come on!
Don't believe that, and I know it. I was just throwing out the Frozen thing for shock and awe, okay?
All right, Jacob, how you feeling about this one?
I feel like Sandy had a missed opportunity there because he could have easily shot back that without Stitch, the whole sisterly act would have been kind of boring in that movie. I mean, it's because of Stitch that they were able to bond to begin with. So,
Well, that
that
I
was
can agree with. I wish the whole movie would have been the sister stuff.
yeah. With Frozen, it took Powers and other marrying them on their first day. So it's not exactly something that works well on its own.
All right, here's them coming down. So, yeah.
Go ahead,
Right.
Dragon. I just still stand by Sandy. You had a missed opportunity there.
Oh yeah, I know.
All right, here's
I
them coming
love
down.
Emperor's New Groove. Don't get me wrong.
First of all, both excellent movies. Let's address that, of course. Again, both excellent movies, and also kind of in the similar kind of time frame. It's like kind of a neat era in Disney. We had a lot of kind of the underrated movies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're kind of the underrated greats, if you will. Kind of ones that kind of slipped in under like right after. I don't want to say right after because then we have like kind of the Quasimodos and everything. It depends where you cut off the Renaissance. It's like right after the Renaissance.
You cut off the Renaissance at the Lion King. That's
what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's technically that's where it cuts off. Some people made the argument that ends at either Hunchback of Notre Dame
or Tarzan.
So it's
technically it's considered Tarzan.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I've heard Tarzan or
Yeah, but the thing about the Renaissance is that the Renaissance was like a streak of perfect movies, and that streak of perfect movies ended with fucking Pocahontas.
Well, that makes me compelled to agree with Tiki. Anyway, so okay, back to this. So again, we had two really strong picks here, and I feel we started strong. I think Tiki with the Emperor's. With the Emperor's New Groove. Again, he started off very strong. He's outlining very specific details and kind of isolating all the beats that I wanted to hear hit with an argument for Emperor's New Groove. It was very watchable. We argued Yzma. We got a little bit of Crunk in there. We have the jokes, the gags, and then he kind of really he stood his ground when Cusco was attacking, kind of the Disney Deadpool of it all. So I think
just for you, Dragon.
The Disney Deadpool.
That was just for you. I would say he's the closest thing Disney has to a Deadpool.
I'm saying with a fourth wall.
Well, that Disney has no Deadpool because he is not the Disney Deadpool.
Anyway, so I think he was very solid in his argument. I think he opened himself up for an attack with the with basically a remark he laid against Lilo and Stitch that Sandy did not. Let's just say did not have time to defend.
Oh, he had time. Oh, he had time.
Yes. So
I'm the victim here, guys. I had no time. You interrupted me at every second.
Okay, no, but seriously, yeah, we gave him extra time.
Yeah, we gave you 10 seconds.
Okay, but let's get
kidding.
let's get the Sandy of it all here. So Sandy, Lilo and Stitch, a very again the kind of the one everyone wanted for this one. Again, everyone both really good movies, but Lilo and Stitch very solid movie, a favorite movie of many people. He started really strong, kind of outlining again, kind of the aesthetically what we love about Lilo and Stitch. The style, the backgrounds, the rounded edge, kind of it's appeasing, has an appeasing and appealing look and story to it. And now Tiki opened things up by saying, Stitch is probably Stitch is a problem, and he kind of deflects from the sister narrative. And again, that to me was kind of like the prime, like Tiki opened himself up to be taken down a little with that. Because Sandy, had he kind of really defended Stitch, and maybe compared Stitch to some of the characters in Emperor's New Groove, perhaps, again, mainly against Cusco. He tried tearing down Cusco. He made a choice. His choice was, I'm going to tear down Cusco instead of defending Stitch. And what he should have done is start to tear down Cusco, then bolster up Stitch in his closing statement to, overshadow Cusco or some other element of the movie. But he wasted all his time closing statement, and actually times 10 with an additional 10 to 11 seconds added upon that time that he wasted. So that's
a fact I'm very proud of, Dragon. Thank you.
That's that kind of clinches it and makes me swear never again to use that purple rock. So Tiki has 4 points. Sandy has 1.
Wow, yeah, it's right, isn't it?
Emphasis 1 point. He has not won the battle.
And we have 2 questions to go, which means Sandy could technically only get 3 points to my 4.
So unfortunately, it seems to be where we're ending it tonight.
Oh, man. Oh, okay, I just want to state for the record that I just wanted to throw in the whole Frozen thing as like a gag. Like, I don't actually think that Frozen's sister storyline is better than the Lilo
Sure. Deny
storyline.
it all you want to. The people know you like Frozen a great deal more than Lilo and Stitch.
No, that is absolutely not true.
don't listen to him, folks. He's bashful. He's
I was being cocky and shock and awe at that point.
No, folks. He genuinely meant that he loves Frozen more than Lilo and Stitch.
All right, so any last words, Dragon? So I guess, yes, I agree with you. This is the very last, the second and last time that we will be using the Purple Rock of Death.
Yep. Dumb purple
Hey, it worked
rock.
fine last time. Yeah, but yeah.
Wait, I have a question. Why
Yes.
why does Darkwing Duck look so much different than Scrooge?
What do you mean?
Like, look at his face, look at his tongue, look at his beak.
That's what he looks like.
Why?
There's
What?
design differences.
All right, and I think that's the note we're going to go out tonight, folks. Look at him go! Just look at him go!